Hello, all you wonderful people. Welcome to the Fluffy Cat Studio. So grateful that you popped in today. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so very, very much for your dedication. You deserve an award. Today we are going to be making some rustic crafts. By rustic, I mean rusty-ick. Okay, I found this old stirrup in our saddle shed, and it has been in there since all my life. It's been hung in the same spot, and I decided to bring it to life. So I brought it in and cleaned it up, and now I took two little picks from the Dollar Tree. I did glue those two together with a little bit of hot glue, and then I took some jute and I am tying it onto the stirrup because I do not want to glue anything onto that stirrup because I don't want to ruin the leather that's on there. And this stirrup is really extremely old. I don't know if it was my dad's. I don't know if it was my grandfather's. I don't know if it was my great-grandfather's, my great-grandmother's, or my great-great-grandmother's. But it has been sitting in our saddle shed for my whole entire life. It's never moved. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to give this a new life. So I'm just taking that jute and wrapping it around and around and around and around until I feel like it's good and secure. And my sassy cat has come to visit us again. She's kind of getting a little bit nosy, you know. Anytime I do this, she's got to all of a sudden be in here. Actually, we've worked longer hours and more days this week, so I think she got a little bit lonely. Now I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to tie it to the string I left a little bit out, hanging out, when I started, and I tied it to that, and then I'm nipping them off with my snippers, and then I'm taking another pick that I got from Walmart, and I'm just kind of sliding that up through the jute. Now I'm taking some red ribbon, and it's kind of thick. If I had to do this over again, I would be making a regular shoestring bow because I think it would have looked a lot better and it would have been a whole lot easier. And I'm wrapping this bow around my fingers about 6 times now. Honestly, I did not need to go that many, and I think that might have been part of my problem as well. Now I'm taking some scissors that aren't very good because I need a new pair, and I'm just cutting about 1/3 of the way through and 1/3 of the way through on the other side. So I've got about 1/3 left in between. And I'm going to take some twine, some jute, and I'm going to pull it through those, tie it around where those slits are, and then I am going to tie it, and once I get it tied, then I will separate each and every one of those loops. And this probably would have been a lot better if it had been wire ribbon. And if I knew what I was doing, it might have been a little bit easier as well. But I'm just trying to make it look as good as possible. And I don't know why I didn't just stop and make a regular bow. But I didn't. So I just continued on, pulling that through. Once I got it somewhat looking good, then I'll just wait and show you what I did. Okay, now I'm taking some of that ribbon and I'm going to glue it around the jute. But as what I did, I don't want the glue on my leather, so I glued it onto the jute. Then I'm going to wrap that ribbon around, measure it, cut it, and then I'm going to glue it to the other side of the ribbon. Then I'm going to take this bow, this funky looking bow, and I'm going to glue it down in there onto the ribbon. I'm going to mess with the loops again. I never really get them too good. And I don't know if it's because I had just way too many loops, or if because it was not wire, or if it was because maybe I didn't use wire and I should have used wire to wrap it around instead of the rope. I don't know. But I messed with it for a while and I got it fairly good. And I don't know why I decided to do this. If I felt like it needed something in the middle or what. But I did take a couple ornaments from the Dollar Tree. But first of all, I'm cutting off the excess. And then when I was doing that, I realized, oh, I guess now I'm just way ahead of myself here. Now I'm gluing the ornaments on, and I'm not exactly sure why I did that. Okay, so I got them on, and I'm again fussing with the bow. And then I'm realizing I go to glue this down, the bow down a little bit, and I realize that it's quite loose around that jute, so I glue it to the jute. And then I do the same thing on that side. I glue the bow down a little bit, and then I glue the ribbon to the jute. Now our next project, I'm taking some jute around this old shovel. I ground the rust off and the dirt off, and then I rinsed it off, but I left some of the rust on. And now I'm just taking this jute and I'm just twisting it around all the way down, and I'm gluing it every so often. And then when I got that done, at the bottom I made 2 or 3 strips that I glued both the strips, or a few of them where I did it, glued it all the way around for both of them. And then I realized I missed a few spots in the back, and so I just wrapped some more jute around there, because sometimes I'm kind of anal and I need to have it perfect, which nothing is perfect, especially if you're doing rustic things. So you could just leave it as is and it would be okay, because rustic, things that are rustic are old, they're used, they're worn, they're not perfect. And now we're just going to keep gluing that on. Now, while I was recording, I'm so mad about this. My SD card, I guess that's what they're called, ran out of, and because I had my camera plugged in, it didn't shut down, so I didn't know that it had ended. Oh, I gotta quit doing that. So a lot of my footage I thought was getting recorded, didn't get recorded. So, and this is one of them that I wasn't able to finish, and I will kind of explain it to you, but I will hopefully show you at the end as well. Okay, now I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to burn off all the little fuzzies on that jute. Then I'm going to glue. Now I'm telling you, where this is metal, you're going to want to add some E6000. Now I didn't, or a better glue. I didn't, but I've got a lot of these hanging around, so I didn't really care. But when you're doing this, you're never going to get the hot glue to stick to the metal or the rust or the plastic. So the best thing to do is to use some hot glue to hold it while the E6000 dries. So use both glues. Do it right the first time. I love doing things with these old shovels. I paint scenery pictures on them. Sometimes I paint other things on them. And usually when I do that, though, I'll grind all the rust down. and then I will prime it and paint it. But for these old rustic looking things, I don't, because why grind it all off and then do everything to make it look rusty when it's already rusty, you know? It's not gonna deteriorate by the time, in my lifetime anyway, you know, but especially if it's kept indoors. I've got some old shovel of these shovels because I do so many things with them, and there's been a couple that's been hanging around outside forever, and they're still, you know, I mean, they're rusted, you know, yes, and with time they will erode, but right now they're still plenty good. So I don't, when I'm doing something rustic and I have a rustic thing, I just let it be rustic. Now I'm gluing some pine cones on, I'm gluing some berries, and now I'm going to put a little bit of greenery. And this is kind of like, it reminds me of cedar trees. And I was thinking of my grandparents when I was making this, because every Christmas they had a cedar tree, more than likely that came from our pasture, and every year they had it. I remember walking in the house and smelling that cedar tree. I like the smell of cedar trees, especially when they're hot and the sun's beating down on them and they have that hot cedar tree smell. Now I'm put some mini ornaments from the Dollar Tree on there, and now I'm gluing some candy that I got from Hobby Lobby. Now I'm gluing some more of that greenery down, and then I'm going to glue a pine cone on there. And this is about the place where I lose footage. But I'm going to take and make a bow out of this black checkered ribbon from Dollar Tree, and it is wired. And I'm going to make a bow out of it, and then I'm going to glue it on to my jute on the handle, and then I'm going to glue Merry Christmas. And I think I put a little bit of decoration, I'm not really sure, but I will show you at the end. Okay, here we're making a horseshoe, taking an old rusty horseshoe, and I just sanded it down to get all the rough kind of edges off, and then I washed it off, and now I just made a bow that we're going to put on here. And this is another one. I did not use the E6000, and I ended up, because I do want to keep these, I ended up going back over it and putting the E6000 on. So do it right the first time. I put some jute, tied jute onto it so I could use it for a holder or a hanger. And now I am gluing on the greenery, and like I said, I would have been wise to use E6000 and just use the hot glue for temporary hold. And I'm gluing that on both sides. Then I will glue my ribbon down, my black ribbon, and then I will also, I have some pipe cleaner left over from when I made that bow, and I wrap it around just to give it an extra secure hold. And then I'm just gluing the one end down because I didn't know how well this would hold. Then I'm taking a little red ribbon that I made from some ribbon from Dollar Tree. It's red with little white snowflakes on it. And then I made a little bow with some green tinsel pipe cleaner. And I put that on. And then I take some little berries. I put a little silver ball, a little silver foam ball on, and then I glue 2 little red berries on each side. And then we have that done. Now this one is the one that disappointed me the most. Okay, I took a Dollar Tree chain from the glowed in the dark. Then I took and mixed up some, I spray painted it black. Then I took and mixed up some nutmeg brown paint with some baking soda, and I thickened it up. I got it pretty thick. And then I took a brush, my paintbrush, and I dabbed, and I don't know what happened to the footage of it. I dabbed it on the whole chain and leaving some of the black to show through, and it kind of crusted like rust. Now again, we're going to use E6000 and hot glue because these will not stay without it. I glued a little ornament sign that says Merry Christmas, then I glued the greenery, the poinsettias, and the berries. And then I took some fishing twine and I did the ornaments. I hung the ornaments on. I hung a couple candy canes, glued a couple candy canes on as well. And hopefully I'll remember to tell you about that at the end when I show you the end projects. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Ever since this time changed, you know, I get home from work late, and so when I do things like this, it's dark, and then I have to use extra lighting, so you don't get a really good picture of it, and sometimes I just get frustrated. I like the sunshine, and there's no sunshine by the time I get home from work. I'm just taking some white paint, and I'm just taking a little bit of blue, Award blue is what it's called, and I just put it on there, and now while it's drying, I'm carving out they're rocks. It's supposed to be rocks with snow, and for that tree, I punched a hole in there, and I glued the tree into that hole. And then I just took and carved or shaped some of the rocks, and I glued them down on. And then I glued the trees. I punched holes in, put the trees in, and glued them. And I did the same with the deer. I put two of his legs into the styrofoam and glued it. And then I put some ornaments around, and I did glue one of his feet onto the ornaments so that it would be a little extra hold. Put a little bit of greenery on there. I put a blue bow, a navy blue bow with a glitter bow. I think I put a snowflake in the middle and some ornaments with some greenery. And I took a white pipe cleaner and wrapped it around a pan to get some curly cues. This was another part of the thing that got deleted. Okay, this is our finished products. We have the stirrup. We have two horseshoes. The one with the poinsettia was one that I had made before. That got deleted, or that didn't get recorded. And I did have another horseshoe that I could use, but I didn't have another stirrup, but that's okay because we filmed it, but I didn't have another chain. And so the chain is there. I'll show you a little bit. I wished I could have shown you, but it was really easy actually. Just taking my brush and tapping down the paint onto the chain. But it was really amazing because when it dried, it was really crusty like rust is. And it was hard to glue things to. I kind of did another top version so you could kind of maybe see it a little bit better. I wanted you to see how much that really did look like a rusty old chain instead of a glow in the dark chain. And there's my little horseshoes again. Okay, here is my shovels. You can see I put a bow, a black bow, and a little red bow at the top of the one shovel, the Rustic. And then I put some candy, the little candies, and a little ornament at the top. And then on top of that, I glued a Merry Christmas ornament. Now on the deer one, I'm sorry you can't see it better, but what you're looking at in the middle is the stirrup on the side view. And this is the chain again. I really liked this chain. I don't know what it is that I just really liked it. I remember my dad used to always have a chain in his truck on the passenger side floor. Always. With every truck, my whole entire life. And it wasn't until I was a teenager when I figured out why he had it in there. Well, this is a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for popping in. I totally appreciate you. I appreciate your patience. Man, I really didn't deserve your, I don't deserve your coming in and visit me all the time because I really screwed up this time. But thank you so very much. If you feel like you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to share this with your friends on Facebook, go right ahead and let's bring some more people into our family. Thank you very much. Goodbye.